You're listening to the West Tech Podcast, powered by West Recruitment.
Let's go! Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast. Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast.
It's a specialist recruitment that you chose the best. There's been evidence to prove it because they know the West. From the map of Parramatta, that's their home address. It's a platform where you chat about your own success. To keep a promise is a must. Speaking honest, keeping trust. Being modest, we discuss. People want it, we adjust. It's all genuine, real, share and then feel. West Tech connects, respects ideals.
You need the right team, the right piece, and we can find leads like these. We keep it timely and high speed. Keep up with IT and life's needs. So if it's candid conversation, we're to chat, or expanded information to unpack. The brand is contemplation, it's a fact. At West Tech can tell you where it's at. Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast. Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast. Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast. Yes, check the West Tech Podcast. Let's get the next guest on fast.
Today we're sitting down with Rebecca Meli, who's the CTO for Jaybro, which is an Australian business based here in Western Sydney. Beck's going to talk about her career journey today, including taking a year off to pursue her passion as a DJ. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Check the West Tech Podcast.
Welcome to this episode of the West Tech Podcast. Luckily enough to be sitting here today with Rebecca Meli.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I've finally talked you into coming on. We're going to be talking about your role and work history in CTO and your story, which I think is very, very interesting and not the typically tread path of a CTO. So without further ado, I guess we'll jump straight into it. But so your role, you're the CTO of Jaybro.
I am.
Which is an organisation that I know quite well for many years of working with them. But
Okay. I was going to throw in there that you recruited me, so you should.
I don't want to look. It's not about me. Today's about you. But yeah. So tell us a bit about what Jaybro as a business do and.
Yeah. So I tried to describe it so people can relate. So if you see big buildings from Mirvac, Land Lease, we supply to those who's building those buildings. The second is you're driving on the road and there's a lot of roadworks happening. We either manufacture those products or we supply those products. We do a lot more, like we've got 6 main entities. We supply to mining, so specialised tools, geosynthetic, so that's a very technical product, but I'm when they're building roads, it's the fabric that goes underneath and there's a whole lot of technical knowledge that you need to know. There's a smorgasbord of what we do.
That's huge, isn't it? And I think, I guess from that perspective, a few things I've known about the business in my time working with them is that they started in a garage.
Correct.
So very, very humble beginnings, and now obviously a much, much larger business.
Bigger beast.
A much different beast. And I guess what they're known for when we've worked with them over the years is that they're very nimble and entrepreneurial.
Yes.
And you have to move quickly and you have to be on top of your game. So.
And I was warned.
By me or?
I think by you and the execs at the time, and they said we move very fast. And I go, bring on that challenge. I haven't found an organisation that moves at the pace that I do, and I met my match.
You met your match.
I
Very
met my
good.
match.
Good to know. At least you were warned. So I guess in terms of your time, now you've been with the business. How long have you been there now?
Almost 4 years in November.
Wow, that's gone quick. So what are the major improvements that you've sort of delivered in the IT environment since you first joined? Because obviously as the business grows and scales, technology has to go with that.
Correct. So a lot. I actually, a couple of weeks ago, I calculated how many projects I'd done, me and the team. And it was probably well over 110 projects to date. So anywhere from large to kind of micro projects. But I went in there knowing that their tech wasn't great. You've explained that, and the exec at the time, trying to understand a lot of their pain points. And then for me, my bread and butter is transformations. And so I just work through the layers of technology. So I kind of look at where's the quick wins and the opportunities? How can I give some customer satisfaction straight away versus kind of the longer tiered projects? And when we're talking about our longer tiered projects, they're more anywhere between 4 weeks to a couple of months. So we do projects fairly quickly and we do it the right way. And it takes special people and a team to be able to do that. So, we rebuilt the networks, we implemented security, we're currently going for our ISO 27001 cert. We improved the performance of the ERP, Salesforce uplift. We've done a lot of integration. So we moved to the microservices approach, built core APIs. We moved everything from on-prem and another MSP completely into AWS. Uplifted, so removed all the old telephony, implemented Amazon Connect, and just trying to connect everything. So it almost like complicates but simplifies the technology, if that makes sense. So complication at the back, but simplifies for the end user.
Yeah. I mean, that's so different to when you joined.
Oh, yeah.
Did you sort of form a vision of where you wanted technology to be when you joined, or was it like, okay, as a business we knew we needed to change, but we think we know what we need, but we're not 100% as to what that looks like?
Good question. I think when I started, I knew what had to be done to ensure the stability of the organisation. But then observing the organisation, we grew really fast through M&A. So for me, I went, how can I allow the business to scale with the right technology? So all our technology choices have been, it's great for now, it'll be great for the future because it natively scales. And, that's a decision, and I never want to implement, and nor does my team. We want to implement something that's only fit for purpose for the next 6 months. We, as the organisation really grows, we want to ensure that technology stack grows with the organisation.
It's scalable as well. Yeah. So, and that's the thing, the business still has an appetite to grow.
Always.
So technology, you're probably lying awake at night just to making sure it keeps up.
Yeah. No, look, I think at the beginning, we were all very stressed because you're in the middle of a transformation, but also doing M&A, and they integrate into our ecosystem. And you had to do a backlog of the ones that weren't integrated. But now it's our bread and butter. It's like rinse and repeat because the technology is there. So doesn't mean that it's not hard because, you've got to learn that business that's coming under your banner. You got to understand their requirements. You don't always get it right, but it's much easier today than it was probably 2 years ago.
Even the team you've built, you've uplifted your capability is just, you've got so much IP in-house now that, and you're probably in a position now where, as the business grows, you've got firepower.
Yeah, look, I love my team. I don't know if I tell them enough, but they're a brilliant, smart, intelligent bunch. They all work together regardless of, their skill set. As you know, I started with 2, I think, and there was 100, that's an exaggeration, but 100 MSPs, and everyone was doing, it was just a schmamble. Scam. What is the word? We got to cut that out. Shambles.
Yeah, a shambles.
It was a shambles.
So you had to unscramble the egg.
Yeah. But now it's, I've got a team of 21, I believe. Lost count.
Oh, yeah.
And
vendor reliance is minimal.
Sorry?
Your vendor reliance has come right back.
No, we've got partners that we use to really fast track projects, or if we don't have that specific skill set in-house, but we know we're not going to get that skill set full-time, then, we have those partners that we lean on. But yeah, like my team has grown. They've grown with the company. They've learnt new skills. We've got engineers. We've got IT support. We've got the trainees through the YGAS program. Yep. ERP, project management, infrastructure, security. So it's really grown and expanded out. But there's also that cross-understanding and support from each other, which I think is critical because I still say that we're a very lean team for what we do. So,
especially how busy the business is, and how much is happening, and there's always plates on sticks spinning, and and I think you need to keep up with that. Not many people can comfortably maintain that pace for as long as you have.
No, look, and every time we recruit someone, we warn them, it's not for everybody. And the people, so my team that are there, they might go, oh my God, it's so fast. And they might be a little stressed. My job is to help trying to manage that stress as much as I can. But we're also there because we love working at pace and at speed.
So you're right, a certain person fits in and does a good job there.
Yeah.
So we'll walk back a couple of steps, and this is probably a little bit more to how you got to where you're at the moment. I think the story's going to probably make a lot more sense to where you're at right now. You're not your typical head of IT. You're not your typical CTO, CIO, and I think that's really cool because obviously your story is very unique and different, and to the point where it's allowed you can see why you've been successful and you've played to your strengths beautifully. So I think, a couple of points. Obviously, you'd love to be busy. That's the first thing. Yeah. And it's not just busy with work. You're obviously busy there, but you squeeze a lot in outside of that as well.
My partner, poor thing, is like, she gets exhausted by me.
So, you're always on. You're always thinking. You've even you've done a lot of work with NFPs, not for profits as well. So obviously you've got that sort of philanthropist about you. You're charitable and you donate your time, which is already a precious resource for you. Studies. You've done studies, web design, networking, what you've rounded off there. You still don't say you're technical, but you've got obviously those under your belt as well as like an MBA as well.
Pause that because I was so busy at work.
Correct, but that's a huge undertaking.
Yes,
like a huge undertaking, and it's something it's pretty much all consuming. So how you sort of fit these things, or to try and take something on like that, considering what you're doing professionally as well, like it's a lot happening. And also, too, not many people know, a DJ and a music producer.
I was. I miss it.
Do you?
Oh, I miss it so much. I recently sold my decks.
No.
My partner was going, I don't think you should. And I go, nah, it's fine. I regretted it.
Why did you do that?
Because I actually don't know. Because I wasn't playing on them.
Right.
And now and again, if I had a bad day, I'd go put my headphones in and have a bit of a mix.
Yeah, that's your release. Yeah.
And I don't know, I think because I actually can't give you a reason.
So why did you do it then?
I don't know. So
see if you can buy them back.
Yeah.
What first drew you to a career in IT?
Okay, so back at school, I was just naturally good at it. So in year 9, they offered computer studies. So I went to an all-female school, and it was the first time that they'd offer computer studies. And I remember, I think the year before, my parents were blue-collar workers. My dad was a cleaner. Mum worked in the factory. So, not a lot of money. They saved up to buy me and my sister a computer. And I remember going to Parramatta, and it was like this shop where they would custom build computers. And so I would play on that and, just explore and blah, blah, blah.
Did you pull it apart?
I didn't initially.
Okay.
So the school bit then comes into play. And look, I was a bit of a rebel child, if you didn't pick up. And in year 9, this poor teacher, now that I'm an adult and sensible, I kind of feel sorry for her. So she was a textiles teacher that got thrown to teach computer studies.
Wow.
The poor lady didn't know what she was doing. So me being the rebel, I would challenge her and go, you don't know what you're doing. And there was almost an element that I was teaching the class because I knew how to turn the computer on. I knew how to use Microsoft at the time. And then, the following year, year 10, there was this teacher, so year 10 and 11, and I've got her on Facebook. And her name was Mrs. Maroos, and she was amazing. She really grew further my interest in technology. And then because I wasn't a studier, so I learned by doing. And she saw something and said, you're getting A's, you're doing really well. You've started to get bored because the material's not strong enough for you. And so they created, so we had a gifted and talented. And this other teacher so Miss Maroos and Miss Ages really played a key role in who I am today. There's a few people that play key roles. And so Miss Ages ran this gifted and talented. And so they created content to kind of excel me in computer studies, even to the point where I'd help out with the computers, almost like a worker in the school.
Wow, you were IT support at
I was
school.
IT support at like 16. And then I created my own business at 16 called Bex Comtech, and I still run that business today. And it was just building computers from scratch. And it was all self-taught. And yeah, like I didn't actually want to get into IT. I wanted to be a physio.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Quite sporty.
Yeah.
But yeah, naturally my career moved into computers.
How did your parents feel about that?
No, they pushed me. They're the ones that pushed me.
So they saw the talent and they went, yeah.
And they're like, no, you're going to do, because I wanted to do in year 11 and 12, I wanted to do science and PDHPE to then push me into my physiotherapy. And they said no, I had to do computer studies, business studies. Can't remember some of the subjects. Yeah. But anytime it was the computer studies, I wouldn't need to study. I'd just get A's.
You just knew it.
Oh, people would get so frustrated. There was one stage where people thought I was cheating because I was the naughty kid. So
let me tell you, in the science and PDHPD, did you get A's there?
Yes, I did.
Did they come to you as easily, or did
they did?
Really?
So,
okay,
yeah.
So you're quite gifted then.
But if you talk about like English, failed so bad.
Really?
Like, I don't know. It just doesn't comprehend in my mind. Like I actually struggle. So ChatGPT has been a godsend because all I do is I write and then I ask it to fix my grammar, because I even bought a book for Grammars for Dummies and I cannot for the life of me like understand it.
It's a dry read.
Oh, it's because I'm like, okay, like this is part. Like I always look at people, you know, when I was younger in my positions now and, you know, very well spoken. And, you know, there was one stage where it was like, man, I really need to sort my stuff out. Like I need to speak better. I need to, you know, be better at English. And now I'm at the point where, no, actually, I don't want to be that person. I want to be me.
Yeah.
And Sheridan, who was your last guest speaker, she spoke about being authentic. And I'm going to own that. And I'm going to own that I'm rough around the edges. It shouldn't be like I've got good capability. Just because my grammar's not great doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm doing. So
I think the world shifted too.
It has.
I was always taught that, you know, people would make an assumption of your intelligence based off how you presented yourself on paper, and it's just not true.
And
smart people don't necessarily have to know where to put the comma. Like it's just, you know, you can get through in this world. I think the world's a little bit more accepting of the why as to not the what's in front of them.
Correct.
Okay, you've produced this or you've written this a certain way.
Yep.
Whereas really, why are you writing? What is it that you're trying to say? And I think if you can communicate effectively in a way that's unique to you, then that'll work.
100%.
So I think it's less about that. Especially now as well. How many people do you know that sort of reach out? I wouldn't go, I was actually dyslexic. Or these things they find out down the track, and it doesn't mean they're not as intelligent or articulate or creative. It's just their brain is wired differently.
100%.
And I think I think society and as a whole, it's just a lot more open to that. So that's really interesting. Obviously. Kicking off, so physio thing didn't get off the ground, went into IT.
Yep.
You had your own little IT business running on the side.
I did.
So your first role, you were IT support at Datacom.
Yes.
Tell me about that job.
So I got that through, I was at TAFE at the time and I was working at a pharmacy as well. And one of the guys there who was my friend, he got a job there and they were recruiting and said, oh, Beck, apply. So I go, oh, awesome. And so it was entry level. And I think at that point, because I was probably the only female that applied, you'll actually get looked at. So I got given the opportunity and it was the start of my journey. So they have a great learning and development in that. I'm not sure about now, but them at the time for technology. I was doing HP and compact support. So consumers, it was interesting.
Helping people remember their password.
Yeah, well, not even that. Turning on a computer, something didn't work. But, you became pretty tough doing that job because every third call would be someone yelling at you.
Oh, really? Yeah. There you go. So you're in IT support then, aren't you? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's like, did I break your computer on purpose? Obviously, you wouldn't say that, but it's like
It's all my fault.
Yeah. So, I went there, and then within Datacom, I got switched to doing business support.
Okay.
I actually can't remember the company that I was supporting. And then, the team there was, we were all the similar ages. The senior engineers, they had a lot of time for people who were willing to learn. So some of the guys there, I spent time just understanding how to appropriately troubleshoot. So I learned the basics. So, hardware is one thing, but troubleshooting and understanding the application layers is very different, in my opinion.
So have a good culture then, a culture where they were
Really
willing
good culture.
to share and impart knowledge.
Correct.
But obviously you still needed to be naturally curious.
Correct.
So you had to stand by their desk.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And they support you more if you're hungry. So,
Okay.
if you've got the attitude where I know everything, it's a really bad attitude to have. You've got to be willing, and it's okay to say, I don't understand, show me again. So it was a very good learning organisation. Didn't pay well, but you don't go to a job.
Yeah, the groundings usually don't pay well, but you cut your teeth and you come out so much stronger at the other end.
Exactly.
And it's not just technology. I think there's a lot of industries where you do, you really have to work for it.
Correct.
And once you come out, your career trajectory is just so much better because you are so well versed and rounded
That's right.
off. So
You're in the trenches, and you learn so much faster if you start from the bottom. It's okay. I find that my career journey, I don't regret pretty much anything. The way that I've had to work my way up, but during that time, I've learned so much. So every company, I've walked away learning something new, if not more. And if I didn't have that company in my life and in my career timeline, I might not be where I am today.
that's a fair assessment for sure. Or a bit of a sliding doors moment if you're offered two roles.
Yeah.
One was paying great, but was a dead end.
Yeah.
Versus, okay, not so great, but has a future there.
Yep.
Some people, take the door that pays more because,
do.
the here and now, whereas
Yeah.
others are a little bit more like, guided as to how they manage their own careers.
Yeah.
So,
You're listening to West Talks Tech, where we give you a recruiter's insights into our world, with the aim of helping you reach your career or hiring goals. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Check the West Tech Podcast.
so from there you went to Fujitsu and you were there for a couple of years as a systems analyst.
Yep.
Obviously now you've got a bit of experience in the vendor space.
Yep.
From there you went to Sandvik. Tell us about that business.
So Sandvik was mining, construction and tooling, so massive Swedish organisation. So it's actually based in a town called Sandviken, and then Sandvik obviously.
Pretty creative
Yep.
when they named it. Yeah, good.
And I initially went there to do, I actually had a job offer beforehand. So as their IT manager for an organisation in Pendle Hill, and they were, they had truck fleets. And on the day, I can't remember that, but they were on the news. On the day that I was supposed to start, they went into liquidation and they locked all the doors so the staff couldn't get in.
Oh,
And it was all over the news. And my dad, he's like, weren't you supposed to work there? I go, yes. So I was a bit nervous because I'm like, oh shit, like I've left my job and now I don't have a job.
yeah.
And I got like a little contract role, then found a full-time, which was Sandvik. So started there as quality assurance manager. And it was based on frustrations from the organisation of computers being built and not coming with the applications, right setup, blah, blah, blah. So I went in there, travelled a bit and, listened to everyone's issues and then came up with the process and the system. And then organically, I just started to move into other roles. So I'd be promoted. So at one piece, I did order management, process order manager, got to fly to Sweden a few times and Singapore. And then at that time, my boss, and she plays also another key role in my career, is Anna, and there was another job going as the APAC incident manager, and she goes, I think you should go for it. And I was a bit nervous because I was 23 at the time, global role, and I was like, oh, I don't think I get it. And, you know, we all have that fear of rejection, and that plays a really big part in my life. Like, sometimes I won't, not so much now, but at the time won't go for things because I just don't want to be told no and be rejected.
Or failure?
Or failure,
yeah. Yeah, okay.
And so I went for it, and it was me and another girl, and like we were the top 2 candidates, and then I got offered the job. And then, you know, I got to travel and really leaned into that position, and she mentored me. So her key role is she taught me how to manage people. And, you know, I do say I'm weird and different, and I'm okay with that. But she saw who I was. And so she managed me in the way that was relevant and what, how can I describe it? So you shouldn't manage, and this is how I manage, you don't manage everyone as a blanket, like you just have one style. You got to adjust your style based on that individual. I'm always very much, I have a fair approach, so everyone is equal, regardless if you're a manager or not, and she taught me that. And so, yeah, I did a whole bunch. I was on major projects. At one stage, they moved me to Newcastle because the guy at the time, poor thing, had a heart attack, and no one wanted to go to Newcastle. And I'm like, I'll go. And so I was doing the APAC incident manager role and then the on-site support technician. So in Newcastle, we had 4 major sites.
And they'd all be mines?
None of them were mines, but there was tooling. And we had all these, you know, the cars that go in mines. So we put that all together, serviced it. What's the other 2 businesses? So there was no, it was like where all our products and facilities were in Newcastle, and then obviously then you've got your mines. So we'd service a lot out at WA.
Right.
And so I was there, so I'd work like 7 a.m. until about 11 at night, because you'd be on global calls in the middle of the night because you'd have to cater for EMEA and the Americas. So it was, but I was young and just did it. Like I could run off an hour or 2 sleep and I was okay with it.
Far out. That might be the DJing helping you there, being the nocturnal, you know, so that might play a hand in that. So going back to your manager there, did she realise your potential as a leader, or was it more that she was like, this is it? Like, did you just sort of...
No, I should ask her.
Did you adapt your style to how she operated, or did you refine yours, or how did it work?
I think how she taught me, it's like if she knew that I was stressed, our meetings would be, we'd walk around the block. Or if she could see that I'm frustrated, or, you know, she knows that, you know, I'm quite passionate, but sometimes that doesn't come across the right way. I'm trying to get better at it. But she knew me. And so I think I observed her a lot and took a lot of her advice. I don't think that there was anything where she gave me really bad advice. And I've just taken that through my career, and how she managed her staff is similar. She has a much softer nature than I do, but without her, I may not be the people leader that I am today, because she's the one that taught me get to know the people, who they are as individuals, because what works for you is not going to work for the next person.
That's a really, really good attitude towards leadership, because it has become personal. And it's funny, a lot of old school leaders are like, well, my style, everyone has to fit in with my style. Yeah. But the people that people want to work for, it's inverted. It is the other way around. And I think, you know, if you look back in your career at the bosses you've had, you know, there's always a couple there. You go, I'm going to learn from what they did that I won't do.
Correct.
And then the people that do things really well, you're like, that works really well, but it has to feel natural for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you were there for a long time. What made you resign?
Had to follow my passion.
Which was?
Becoming a DJ.
So what did you do?
So, I'm big on visualizations, and my parents didn't really understand what a DJ does, but because they grew up the way that they did, they're like, there's no career in that. No to music. And so, you know, get a job, get like work, corporate, you know, whatever it is that you want to do, but just not music. And then my partner, you know, it'd always go on and on and on. And then she said, quit.
What are you doing?
I'll support you and give it a crack. And, you know, I was worried about money, and she was, don't worry about it. Yeah. And I did. So I quit, and they tried to retain me twice. And I go, I have to do it. I have to do it. And they actually said, you'd regret it. And I go, I'm not going to regret. At least I tried. Yeah. So, I started to put my feelers out. I had equipment already. I DJ'd for free for many, many events. Oh. But then what happened is promoters liked my style, saw that I showed up. They liked the music. So then I'd start getting paid gigs. It wasn't taking off to where I wanted it to get to.
What was the aim? What was the goal?
To be booked so completely.
Not a residency, it was just to be busy.
Just to be busy.
Okay.
I did have residency already, but I was still an amateur at the time. And then I started studying at SAE, so to learn music production. So in my downtime during the day, I'd practice and start to put songs together. You know, obviously you had your assignments. And then I did an internship at a organisation called Beat Management, and they were managing. Do you remember The Voice? Yeah. So they were managing some of those artists. Oh, is it? I don't watch TV.
I think Adam Lambert's on it now. Yeah, it's okay. All right.
And then what I did was, because I still wasn't making the coin that I wanted to. It's not that I was chasing that, but I'm so independent.
It had to be sustainable.
And I don't want to rely on my partner to, I don't know, it had always been a thing. So then I went and my sister-in-law, she worked at Event Cinemas. She was general manager, and she threw me into Gold Class Kitchen. And then, like, I started just working during the day and then DJing at night. And they go, why don't you just go back to, like, corporate? Because you're basically doing the same hours. Yeah. So then I go, okay, I'll do the very basic. I'll do IT support, where I just go do my job and then still focus on my music.
Yep.
I got this job at Smartline. And because I knew Lotus Notes. Now, if anyone listens, Lotus Notes is very, very old. Yeah. But we used it at Sandvik. And all of a sudden, both careers boomed.
Really?
At the one time. So I was promoted in Smartline. They loved that I DJ. Like, I DJ'd at their conferences. I DJ'd at some birthday parties. But my music, then I was DJing Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday day. Oh. And working 8 till 5.
That's busy.
And only on Fridays is when I'd have to leave early. So I'd start at 7 till 4. But Smartline was so accommodating. And they're like, what gigs do you have? I had people come and watch me. They were huge supporters. And my boss at the time, he loved it. He absolutely loved it. So, and I sustained it for, I think, probably 2.5 years.
Wow.
There's
no downtime.
There was pretty much I had no weekends, just work. But, you know, the DJing, I didn't see it as work. Like, I loved it.
You were following your passion. Well, good for you. You made it work.
Yeah.
You scratched the itch.
Yeah.
What did you give up first, or what came to a head?
So my father got cancer, and I just became unreliable, and I then just stopped it for a while. So I had booking agents, just said, look, I just need to take a break. I'm unreliable. You know, he'll get sick. He might end up in hospital. I then have to pull the plug. It's really hard to get DJs. So, and then he passed away. I was a bit angry. And then just stopped for a bit and just worked. Right. And then I then started it in my own time. I just started back up. And I get emotional when I speak to my dad.
Oh, of course, yeah. Take your time.
No, that's fine. What did I do? I then was doing just one gig here and there, and then it picked up again. So I was doing probably one or two a week. And then I think then at that point I was just kind of doing it, but kind of not. Then I moved careers again. And then...
So what prompted you changing roles from Smartline? Was it just you needed a change?
We got bought out by REA Group, and I just didn't believe in the direction, to be honest. And, you know, I really cared about our mortgage brokers. I understood what they needed. You know, I cared about the staff, and I just didn't believe the direction that they were going. Once you don't believe, for me, you have to believe in the vision. And I just thought it was time. So, you know, I had Smartline I loved. They were one of my favourite companies I worked for. They obviously tried to retain me, but they understood my why, and it wasn't about the money.
There's a theme with being retained when you go to move on that obviously it shows how well you're valued in those organisations. So, and then you moved to Choice.
I did move to Choice, so that was a short stint.
Yeah.
Again, had a really good CTO, still in contact with him. He really taught me, he got me into cloud.
Okay.
His teachings were more technical. I don't think I've ever worked for a leader that was so technical as he was. And the whole tech team really loved him. And we were there doing transformation, so I was learning and doing at the same time. And he ended up leaving, and I just loved working for him. So the pace there was much slower, probably way slower than I generally work. So I wanted to go somewhere where we could change, move fast, make a really big impact. The things that we did, we done, but there was nothing else for me. And I like making a difference. I like making an impact. I like growing teams, but that wasn't the place for me. I understood a lot more about NFP, so got some insights there. But then I then started to look for my next opportunity.
Yeah, you weren't there just to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
So I think obviously looking at your career trajectory, sort of a couple of things that stand out to myself is that, you know, you are passionate. It doesn't matter what they do. You've worked in organisations that do such different things.
Yeah.
But, you know, if your passion's not there, then you know, your engagement's not going to be there either. Yeah. And I think it sounds like you've got a really good level of self-realisation as to when, okay, it's probably time here that I made a move or you know, changed it up a little bit. So it sounds like, you know, I think everybody in their career has like champions or advocates that really help them. And it sounds like you've got a few, even from high school.
Got a fair few.
Who's your favourite?
Oh.
If you had to pick one, or different for different reasons?
They're all different for different reasons. I can't, because they all taught me something different.
Yeah, and it stayed with you.
Yeah.
And obviously helped mould who you are today.
Yeah.
How did you make the transition from sort of IT manager to CTO?
So just throwing me in the deep end.
Okay.
I've always wanted to be a CTO from ages ago. It was, like I said, I'm big on like putting things like in my head, visualizing, and, you know, when I say I'm going to do it or I want to be, I like just constantly write it,
to goal orientated,
yeah,
and then wish it into reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And, you know, I knew what the organisation needed then, and you kind of started to evolve the position and start to understand what you're actually taking on. But for me, it's so many challenges that I like love that. So like throw it at me. I might not know, but I'll know in a couple of like weeks or months. I go, I'm hungry. So like for me, it was for Jaybro, they gave me the opportunity, and I made a commitment to the CEO at the time. And when I make a commitment and a promise, I'm not going to back down. Like I will make sure that happens. And I was so loyal because he gave me my dream job. So you recruited me, obviously. Yeah,
nothing to do with me. You did the work.
But when he gave me that, because, you know, I obviously went in as group IT manager and then became the CTO. Like there was we were all group HR manager. And then I don't think he realised how much of an impact just that title change. So I've been wanting to be in this position for so long. And even now my position, it's just ever evolving. So.
Oh, absolutely. And the business is evolving. So you need to keep pace with that. I think it's funny when people assume, I want to be a CTO. Why? Because it gets easier. Well, no, it doesn't.
No, it
gets
doesn't.
harder.
It's much harder.
But no one tells you that. Everyone thinks, when I get to the top, I can cruise because I made it. And it's like, no, it's just the stakes are higher.
Not. It's, you wear more risks, you wear more hats. Well, for me anyways, my leadership style is, you're the one that takes the punches, not your staff.
Yep.
You try and protect them as much as possible. And you're constantly just thinking if something, if someone comes and there's an issue, it's like you're not just constantly delegating. I get my hands dirty still. Like if IT support need help, if they're short-staffed, I'm in there. Did you know about that the CrowdStrike?
Everybody knows what happened with CrowdStrike.
So we were affected.
Yeah.
My team did a bloody amazing job.
Yeah.
But on the Monday, I was there with my team and I go, all right, guys, like you look after this, you look after that. I'm going to be here taking in the laptops. The ones that I can do, I'll do. Yep. You guys are on the phones. The more complicated, I'll throw it to the experts because, I'm not on the tools as much anymore. But for me then, I feel what they feel. I'm still, it's not relevant. I know the environment. You're not just sitting on your perch delegating. You're still have your arm in the weeds a little bit.
I think, and here's the thing is, egos plays such an important or such a pivotal role in a lot of people's career trajectory that they think that some things are beneath them.
No, it's a horrible way.
But it's an attitude. Yeah. And if you want to know who follows good leaders, the leaders that people most admire are generally the ones that would never ask you to do something they won't do themselves, and the ones that don't have an ego because they're not there to build themselves up. A really, really good leader is someone that serves others and has that mindset. And they're the ones that say, well, I work for them, but they help me. Yeah. And that's the dynamic of that relationship. Yeah. So I can't tell you the last time I've recruited somebody where they went, that's not a hands-on role. They're a delegator, they're strategists. They just sit at the top and everything rolls downhill. Those roles don't exist anymore. Yeah. And if they do, no one's leaving them because I've never had to fill one. Yeah. So I think that's a very important thing that probably speaks to your style. Yeah. As a leader, it's something you go, well, no, I'm not looking to change that because it just works.
On the West Tech podcast, we sit down with IT leaders who are doing great things and learn about their journey to help you on yours. Remember to like, share and subscribe.
Check the West Tech podcast.
What's the biggest hurdle you've had in your career?
Probably challenging people that they're so fixed mind, it's their way or no way.
Stuck in their ways.
They're stuck in their ways. You come across that and it's really hard. Like for me, I struggle a little bit with that.
I don't think it's just you.
No, it's because you kind of want to try and tap in and just go, let's have a look about you. But I think sometimes that's probably that. And I don't think it's a hurdle. I find it interesting. It's when I was a bit younger and female in IT, you'd be ignored because it's like she doesn't know what she's doing. She's not technical.
So you found that attitude was alive and well?
Not with my organisation or team, but with vendors, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, wow. I think that's it probably speaks to a psychology because it's funny, even in sort of sales, and there's examples in automotive that family, for example, a family unit, the female makes the decision, but the guy does the talking if it's a traditional family unit walks through it. And it's funny that most people presuppose or prejudge. They don't talk. They don't talk to listen or to understand. They just assume. Yeah. And it's amazing how many people get underestimated or overlooked because no one's taken the time to go, well, actually, do you know what you're talking? Anyone that talks to anyone for 2 minutes can suss them out if they know
Exactly.
what, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's funny that attitude still exists because you can't get ahead. It's
Oh,
very,
no,
it's a
that's
very,
right.
very limiting mindset.
Yep.
But the fact that you still encounter that, like that's something that in such a male-dominated industry, people don't really think that's a thing because it's not their lived experience, but it's obviously your lived experience. So the next question, this is what I'm really pleased to hear that you had some really good female leaders.
Yeah.
How as an industry, how does IT attract more females to the industry?
Good question. Well, I think that we're on the right path. So there's more opportunities. So there's more events. I know AWS is running a whole bunch of events like Women in IT. I actually went to one last week for Databricks. I just think we need to get more into the schools and start to talk about what does IT look like. IT is not just a computer. There's so much behind it. There's so many different areas, whether it's data or engineering or user experience. I mean, that can fall into marketing as well. Business analyst, project management, IT support, infrastructure. Did I say security? Security. There's so many opportunities. It's not just about a computer, and it's so interesting. And you can, I think, if we showcase that. Wait, let me take a step back. I think we need to get into the schools to offer a good curriculum for exposure of what does technology mean and meet all the actual areas. So it's not just support. From there, they should be then exposed to then, coming into organisation where there maybe are female leaders or female workers within that department, to then expose them more. But then sometimes females aren't interested in tech. I just think the exposure needs to be a little bit more, but it starts from...
So it needs to be an option.
Yeah.
A viable option that people are like really...
If you look at female all-girls schools, some of them don't offer... I don't know about now. Last time I've checked, some don't offer anything to do with computers because the uptake isn't there.
That's insane.
But we use technology every day.
It's not going away.
No.
It's only going to become more and more prevalent.
Exactly.
That's, which is really, I think it is starting at school and showing what options there are. If you weren't in IT, what would you be doing?
Well, either a physio or...
You still got the itch there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd probably pursue music again. I did run like my own events. Like I used to run underground warehouse parties and...
Was there money in that or?
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot.
There you go. Maybe get back into that, the illegal underground
Yeah,
party
probably
scene.
legal. But, I've got... I don't know if you know, I've got 3 other side hustles now. So,
What are they?
so I've got a business, I won't say the name, but I pack fruit and veg boxes every Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing families struggling to, because the economy, everything is inflated.
Oh, absolutely.
So I go to the markets, I pack everything. It's called the Staples box.
Yeah.
And, it's $30 and they get like a big box of fruit and veg. And, I find that I love going and picking fruit and veg, but it's one way that you can help the community to like buy fresh produce for a reasonable price. Like I priced it at the bigger, and it's like $100 plus just
Wow.
it's massive.
Wow. Okay.
So, and then I've got another one that's in the works, but it's more, the health and fitness side, so it hasn't been launched yet. But
Right.
I just like to keep busy, as you mentioned before. So
You wouldn't pick that up after talking to you.
and then obviously Beck's contact that.
Wow. Okay. I really like that fruit
Yeah,
box
well,
thing because, I mean, the cost of living, everyone talks about it, it's amazing how little money there is on expendable income to the point where the homeless people that we see now, and even the area that I live in, it's there's homeless people there that normally in a decent economy should not be homeless. Like they're in tents.
Exactly.
They've got, and these are people that, they're employable. They're, but for whatever reason, that the cost of living and rentals and things like that is so out of reach for people that have, the lower paying jobs. It's unattainable. And I think that goes against everything that Australians should be about, because everyone's like the land of having a go, and immigration, like so many people come to this country because, they can have a go and make something of themselves. And then we've got things that people can't afford to eat or have kids living in tents in parks. It's just insane for such a wealthy country that we don't do more in that space and we waste our money on other things. It just blows my mind. Like, it's just insane that we're not,
But
so
then it starts with us as well. Like, I feel that if one person is starting to make a difference and people start to follow that, then imagine if it's like, have you heard the do one act of kindness every day?
Absolutely, yeah.
If we just all did that,
the world would be a better place.
The world would be better. Now, I know that gets a bit, but...
You're a corporate hippie. But no, it's true, 100%. It's absolutely true. And I think it's probably the older I get, the further I get in my career, it's more I think about that. Yeah. Like if you asked me when I was younger, it wouldn't even cross my mind. It's just like just someone in a tent, I don't. But you sort of now you've got a family and things. You look at that in a very, very different lens, and I think gratitude plays a big part in that as well. That I'm really lucky, and I might not own a Ferrari, but I tell you what.
Oh, I'm luckier than most people.
I don't need it. I don't want it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm we don't have kids, but if I can. Even, we have a thing where we donate every month to a worthy cause. Even if it's a little bit, it then will help someone. So
yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome. My last question. I know we've rattled on for a bit. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Ignore the noise. Don't, I've had some people that told me, like, put me down during school as well. And it just fueled me to go, if they say you can't do this or you won't be anything, which I have had a teacher to do that, it fueled me. So take everything with a grain of salt, follow your passion. And, the world that we live in at the moment it's more accepting, and just keep on going. Like, you're going to get hit down and then back up, and then, you might go here and then you might go there, but just keep going, because you'll get where you want to be. But the critical piece is just follow your passion, because everything else will just fall naturally where it's meant to be.
Yeah, that's really good advice. It's funny, though, how many people carry things from their childhood to adulthood, and it's funny that you've used yours as fuel.
Correct.
Whereas
most
some
people, they don't.
No, you wear it as a ball and chain, and it wears you down, and you're like, no, I'm only over this because it's how people perceive me. And it's really interesting to say that, because, that's, a lot of people could have gone very, very easily the other way.
And you hear a lot of, like, even, now people leader, getting to know, you hear a lot. Like, I've got... I won't say too much detail, but some of the stories that I've been told from staff, whether it's here and previous, it's like it
their
hurts.
life experience. Yeah, I know.
And you almost want to protect it. Go, tell me who said that. I'm going to
go
deal with it.
Yeah, go sort of out.
But yeah, it's it's don't let people get you down. Like, don't get me wrong, you have your moment. I still have my moments today where. You fall into that state and you just have to shake it off and go, hold on, like, I need to reset, get my mindset right. Like, this person's nothing. I know who I am, so
stay with it.
Correct.
Yeah. If you've got a really good group around you, people around you, they can keep you self-assured, because otherwise sometimes, it soaks in. You can start believing what people say. I saw an interesting thing the other day that said the people that want to criticise you are never the people doing stuff that you want to do.
100%.
And it's coming from a place of their own insecurities that they have to pull you back rather than push themselves forward.
Yeah, well, it makes them feel good.
Yeah, well, it just I don't know if those people ever feel good or comfortable, but I think it makes them more accepting as, well, if I can pull someone else back, they're not going to get away from me. As their view of things is very skewed. Whereas the people that are really successful surround themselves with people and push others to be better, and that pulls them along on their journey. And it's funny that you see that, but then you go, oh no, absolutely, I can totally see that in so many different scenarios. So I heard that and went, that's super fitting. Like that, that's something that sort of I stored away and I went, I'll use that again down the track. So Beck, thank you very much.
No,
I love sitting down having a chat.
Me too.
I learned more about you today, which is great. So, no, thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you've enjoyed Beck's story and learned some from her career journey to date. Stay tuned for the next West Tech episode.
We hope you enjoyed our discussion today. If you like what you hear, please like, share and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Check the West Tech podcast.